Hey there! You may recognize this place right here. It happens to be my customized cardboard Kyuranger base. And I pretty much had done as best I could at making a replica of what the inside of the Orion spaceship looks like. Now, of course, there are actually two different spaceships that the Kyurangers have their base inside of, and it just so happens that the main room that they all hang out in when they are not out on their missions just happens to look identical. For those of you who had not seen Uchu Sentai Kyuranger, a little halfway through the series, or a little over halfway through the series, the Orion spaceship that they had their base in at the start of the series ended up getting destroyed. But they got a new base of operations, which was the Orion battleship, which is also able to become a mech. Alright, so I bet a lot of you who have seen this base right here, who have seen a lot of the stop motion videos that I've made so far, are wondering, what does this base actually look like on the outside? Well, for the very first time on camera, I will get to show you. There we go. This is what the outside of the spaceship actually looks like. And my cat Belinda is right here with me. Say hi, Belinda. Oh. So yeah. This box used to be the box that I got Belinda's jungle gym in. I'm sure some of you may have seen the pictures of the jungle gym that I posted on DeviantArt around the time that I had gotten the jungle gym for her. And I had been keeping it in my closet for a few months. Sometimes when I get things, I may decide to hold on to the boxes if I find another use for them. Then in other cases, I may decide to just throw them out. So you might want to know about the process that I went through to make this little base right here. Now, I did actually take some pictures going from the various different steps that I had gone through when making this. It started out as just a small box inside of a bigger box, and the small box is of course what became the lower section of the base, and the bigger box is obviously the rest of it. Now, there was quite a lot of cardboard cutting and duct taping and spray painting that went into making this base right here. And it took me over the course of a couple of days to a couple of weeks, but thankfully not a couple of months. And this is just the start of the various different bases or sets that I'm going to be making for my stop motion videos. Not only as part of my Support Uchu Sentai Kyuranger campaign, which is a campaign dedicated to trying to get enough people to send in letters to Hasbro telling them why they want to see Uchu Sentai Kyuranger be adapted into a future season of Power Rangers. For those that do not know, at some point earlier this year, in 2020, Kyuranger Sentai Ryusoulger was announced to be adapted as the 28th season of Power Rangers, which I was desperately hoping against because I was wanting a Kyuranger adaptation. And I especially did not want to get a Ryusoulger adaptation yet because that would end up skipping over quite a lot of seasons, including the must-get-adapted Kyuranger series. I was really hoping that Hasbro would adapt Kyuranger before adapting anything that came after that, but so far, they have plans on adapting one series that did come after Kyuranger. Given as to how they did go back and adapt Tomoku Sentai Go Busters, or Tokume Sentai Go Busters. I apologize for the butchering. It is possible that they may go back and adapt Kyuranger, even though it was skipped over before, and that's what the campaign is going to be all about. So hopefully we can get it adapted. Maybe it's the 30th anniversary season, but hopefully at some point down the line, because they can't ignore this series forever. Anyway, enough about that. I'm gonna also point out about all of the different details I managed to get into the room, as well as the different props. Now the fence pieces right here, I did actually have some of the Kyuranger vinyl figures that I have, which I use for my stop motions, and do a little height comparison to make sure that they reached the height of the Kyurangers, and showed pretty much just how tall they are supposed to be compared to the actual Kyurangers. And of course, I am aware that I didn't do a kind of a triangular pattern for the supports. So, yeah, that is one detail that is a bit off, but it would have been very difficult for me to actually make the supports the way that they are supposed to. And another thing you will notice is the stairs. Now, the stairs right here, they are not an actual set of stairs. They are just a bunch of lines that are drawn out to represent stairs. It would be very difficult for me to actually cut up small cardboard pieces to get the stairs into them, and I just did not want to go through the trouble with actually putting stairs right there. So I just ended up doing the lines. And then a couple of the patterns for the lower section of the base, like the silver parts, as well as the orange ladders that people on the ship can use to climb up from the top section of the ship all the way down to the lower section of the ship, and also climb back upward. I decided to use a Sharpie's marker to draw that all out, and that's what we have. And there is a combination of quite a lot of spray painting as well as printing, like the doors on the side. They are all printed. Like, I just used MS Paint and drew out the doors, and then I just printed them and cut them up to become the doors on the base. And I've also added in this pattern right here. Not quite sure what this is supposed to be. It's not a door, by the way. I mean, it kind of looks like a door on the display case, but on the actual display, or on the actual Kyuranger base, it's not supposed to be a door. And there was also this part right here that I also added in. I don't really remember what that part is supposed to represent, but I added it in regardless. And of course, there's the door that leads out. Of course, it's not a door that you can actually open. It's just there for decoration. You know, like the little stop motion skit that I did, where Garu tries to open the door by saying, "Open Sesame!" Much like Patrick did in that SpongeBob episode, in which that stop motion took audio from. And of course, the other side is pretty much the same thing, with the same details, although I think that this may actually be an inaccurate detail, but I'm not going to bother correcting it, should I find out that it is an incorrect element. And of course, the blue sides right here, they are spray painted pieces of cardboard with printed paper to represent the blue lines. And right now my cat is trying to play on this box, or beside the box. Yeah, there she is. I don't know what she's doing, but you know, she's just handling the outside of the box, because Well, it's not really a big deal because it's not about the outside of the box, it's about the inside of the box. Literally. Okay, so, and then there is the front window right here. I actually know that this part up here is supposed to be a little circular, not completely flat on the side. And that's what I got right there. That's also printed on paper. And the red markings on the side, those were added on with a Sharpie's marker. And then with the floorboards right here. Whoa, I just startled my cat. I put my hand towards her and she then jumped. Okay, so the floorboard right here, the green part is actually not spray painted at all. It's actually the original color of the cardboard that I was using. So, since it was already green, which was the color that I needed for it to be, I just left it as is. Because, you know, why waste spray paint when it's already the color that you need it to be? Although the front section actually is spray painted, took some light gray spray paint and just spray painted the front section. And the orange sections are actually printed paper. I did actually start out with using an orange Sharpie's marker, but it really did not look all that well, so I just went ahead and printed some orange paper, and there you have it, the orange section. Alright, now, before we get on to the little props that I have made, I want to show you a little back section right here on the outside, where on the inside here, there's this opening gap that is, you know, at the bottom right here. And this is actually where I got some of the cardboard to serve as supports for the upper sections of the floor. You know, to make sure that the floorboards are steady and standing upright. Now, of course, the floorboards are not entirely flat, and, you know, it doesn't do a completely good job at keeping things steady. When I was doing a couple of my first stop-motion videos, I did have a bit of problems keeping some of the figures to stay upright. Some of them do have a bit of a problem with standing upright. So, I just, you know, just had to improvise a little bit, something that could work to fix the balance of any figures that are not standing upright. You know, just having their arms be positioned in a way where they can stand up a little bit better, but, you know, just not quite a lot. Now, the back section over here, where the back door is, I actually, this wall right here is actually made up of 3 pieces of cardboard. The first one is obviously the front wall, which is the gray wall. The second one is the blue section right here. And the third, of course, is the orange wall where the door is. And out here, you can see just how that works. And now I'm going to go into the props. These are the props that I've made so far. I may make more of them in the future, but these are the props that I have for right now. For starters, I have a miniature version of the Q-Lat wheel to fit in with the, you know, the little base. Just made a action figure size Q-Lat. It actually does not rotate at all. Obviously, this is made out of Model Magic, which was an air drying type of clay. So it pretty much does not rotate the same way as the actual Q-Lat does. It's just there for decoration. It's not meant to actually work the same way as the larger Q-Lat. It's just a small scale model of the Q-Lat. Now, the little table right here, the little table is actually removable. In fact, this table right here is actually the most recent addition to this display from the time that I'm recording this. And I made this using quite a few pieces of cardboard. I did not create a bottom to it, because I did not think that it was necessary, because it's facing downwards right here, where you don't see the bottom anyway. And I was thinking of maybe actually taping this down to the bottom section, because I am quite sure that the actual table is supposed to be fixed to the ground. But I decided not to have it be taped down, because, you know, what if I actually make a mistake and have it be facing the wrong way? Like, is this the right way, or is that the right way? I'm not entirely sure. And I also want to take it out, just in case I want to film a scene in which I need to have all sorts of figures in here, and this just gets in the way of it. So, I used a lot of white spray paint to make the table, and then printed the symbol of Kyuranger onto the top using some printed paper. And the best thing about this is that it also works as a storage container, so I can actually store some of the props that I use for this display case. And speaking of props, here they are. The culette, as I've already mentioned before. And then here is the cone hat that I used for Garu in the clip with Dirty Dan. You know, like, who you calling Pinhead? That's what the little cone is used for. Although somebody actually suggested that I use Spada for that particular scene. But I already had Garu casted as Patrick. And that person suggested that I use a cone hat, and that's what I did. I made a cone hat for that particular scene. Not sure if I'm going to use it again, though, but just in case I do find another use for this, I'm going to be hanging on to it. And then, for the skit that's entitled, Garu Hates This Channel, I made this little television right here. You know, it's just a little television. When I was filming that particular clip, the side antenna did fall off, but I was able to glue it back on, and I was able to keep it on for the whole time that I was filming that scene. So there's that little TV right there. Just a little thing for the Patrick Hates This Channel skit. And then this right here is supposed to be a pill, which was used in the I Hate the Pill skit, which at the time of the recording of this video has actually not been edited yet, but I've already filmed it, and it should actually be up by the time you're watching this. So this is the little pill that Raptor gets Show Rumpo to swallow. So that's the pill right there before it gets swallowed. And then this right here is actually supposed to represent the pill while it is in Show Rumpo's mouth. You notice that it is the same size as the pill, and it is a purple color to match with Show Rumpo's cheeks. Well, of course, actually, he would not be able to actually consume the pill while he is wearing his helmet, but we do not have figures of the Kyurangers in their demorphed forms. We only have them in their morphed forms. So I kind of had to improvise around that, and I mean, it's not like these stop motions are actually supposed to be canon to either Kyuranger or the eventual adaptation, which hopefully will happen one day. But anyway, that is my little display case for my Kyuranger stop motions. I actually have it set in different locations for each of the stop motions, depending on how good I can have the stop motions work out. Like, sometimes I may have it sitting on the floor like I do now, or sometimes I may have it be resting on my bed. But, you know, I really do my best to make sure that the inside of the base, or much rather the opening roof of the base, is not shown, during these stop motions. So you would never know where in my room or where anywhere the base actually was, because you're not focused on what's outside of the base, you are focusing on what is inside the base. So I thought that I would make this little video to share how exactly I had made this. I'm not sure if I will actually make props for the other things that you actually see in the actual Kyuranger episodes. But, you know, I just thought of just making the table and the queue-let for any scenes where I would need them for, as well as some of the other props for the skits that I have done stop motions on so far. So, thank you so much for watching, and I hope this has inspired you to create your own little custom stages for stop motions, because it's always good to actually have stages for when you are doing your stop motion videos, rather than just doing a lot of stop motion that's supposed to take place inside of your house. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.